Hey, crypto media friends. Sometimes it takes a real punch in the face to get to know your strengths, get to know yourself. You take one. Uh, it's emboldening. I think to then still be standing, to push forward, even though you just got punched in the face. And so I think when you go through this journey in this space together and through these mountains of rugs and bad projects and FUD, you start to grind a vision for your space and for your own experience in this space. And I think that one of the projects that I kind of kept coming back to was Oniforce. It's if you follow this channel, you know that we got killed in the mint and we still tried to follow, and it exploded to like a 780th floor. Which at the time and still is out of my reach. It's that's a lot of money to put towards something that you want to have a surety is going to do well in the future. The price. Let's check out the price. We're going to do a bit of a deep dive today. So like, subscribe, hit the bell notification if you like doing deep dives on projects of interest. Because there's a thing. I'm not here to show you anything. I'm not here to sell you anything. I'm not here to pump anything. I'm here to tell you about communities as collectors and as creators that get that vision, that understand that Web3 is a space for creators, for creation, for this way of narrative storytelling, of this way of creative collaboration in music and in arts that the world hasn't seen before. And only the ones that are open to it can actuate it. There's a lot of people who are in this space that are very, tight with their rights and won't let you, do anything, and will only take minor suggestions and want you to work a lot for free in order to hype their project up. There's a difference there. That's the Web 2 version, making you do all the content, receiving none of the pay. That's Web 2. That's Facebook. That's Instagram. Look at you work on that perfect angle and that perfect lighting, and you're not getting paid for that inside of the structure of Instagram. Perhaps you're smart and you're savvy and you've made some deals outside of it, which is great. But the actual structure of it, that multi-trillion-dollar entity, is worth that much because of your work. And so, in the search of finding more collaborative platforms, I've been drawn back to Oni. I always call it Oni One because it's just like sort of that old habit of Oni. So Oni's, they have these mechs that sort of started appearing a few months ago, and sort of the things that I saw, and I was like, okay, that's nice. They're trying to advance, and because early on they had dropped. I mean, it was so hot, like, the upward trend. I mean, let's take a look at how crazy that rise was, just after mint. And, it exploded. And right away they were showing metaverse avatars and, things that, Fiat Lux is doing now. But, back then they were trying to, like, demo. They were showing screenshots of, of these things at work in VR chat, in AR, which was astonishing, and which really I think kept the hype train going in a sense. And so a lot of holders, as I'm looking, like the number of sales isn't very high. So you got a lot of holders in this space, and you can feel that in the community. And again, when you jump back into a project that has been going for a while, it's not like pre-mint where you just got like a gajillion people just, moon boys in there like, yes, this is going to be amazing. We're totally going to make it. It's a bit more refined. I mean, the conversations are a bit more personal and, a bit more sparse, to be honest. It'll be, you'll have a couple minutes of lag between conversations, but when you have a good conversation, you're able to make that without like, win moon. But so when you have something that's a bit more sophisticated, it's rewarding to me, and that's why I've been recommending these sort of I don't want to call them old school. It's just, guys, it's been like 9 months. It's just like this is August of this is probably, one of the biggest to land in this space at the time. And they claim to be the first to bring the style of anime to the space. And that's something that they can hang their hat on, and that's awesome. As as we talk about historical NFTs. But I think, Oni had, some problems with the creators. I think the community had some problems with the creators. Creators seem to have, done no wrong in, using, funds that were, there for them. But what I like is I spoke to Starlordy, the project manager there, who's given me permission, and I'm going to share with you guys today some pretty deep alpha by sharing their direct PDF from their town hall. And in discussion, I was just like, dude, what was up with that? And like, what was resolved? And the thing is they really didn't do anything quote unquote wrong. They just didn't feel that there was any sort of boundaries for them to do some certain things, I guess. And so ultimately, though, what they have created and what they have done, again, you have to kind of look forward in a sense. And so what they have done is they have promised that they will not touch any more secondary sales. All secondary sales go now to the project itself. And the vision for the project is being refined. And I'm liking the cut of the jib, if you follow. It's still, I think it's kind of loosely in the communication, because I think it's really grown in the past month. They've brought on some new people onto the project to help manage and run the project, who are creating a very solid messaging. And it's just about delivering on the messaging, I think, at this point. But it looks like, and we'll share a roadmap as well, that it seems like, things are going well. I think what brought me kind of back into it, it was this huge Gucci collab. Anything Alessandro Michele is doing, I'm kind of interested. Alessandro Michele is the sort of the vision of Gucci currently, and took over in about 2015 to put Gucci on a pedestal where it's at now in terms of luxury design. And I can't think of a better designer in the moments and in the now right now that is creating the most sought after looks, and in the metaverse, as we've been covering in the show. And so they did a collab with, it was an interesting sort of thing with this bespoke clothier, and you would go and you would buy a box, and then you essentially applied that box to your, let's see, let's go down to this here, your PFP. And you could only have a certain selection of those: Oni, Bored Ape, Cool Cats, Cryptodes, Gutter Gang, Pudgy Penguins, Wolfgang, and World of Women. Not a bad group to be associated with. And again, that's key here, guys. Oni has a name that is so well established as, being, it made such a splash, when it hit. And it sort of reverberates and into collaborations and into, this is where Azuki went to them for whitelist. You got to remember here, guys, this is a huge, huge name in this space that, I think deserves a lot of respect. And so what the creators have done is created an outstanding name and brand. The art is landmark, not just that it's facing and, that's some big deal, but the look of it is so original. When everybody was rocking that instead of the Azuki for their PFPs, it was a thing. These were everywhere. Now these have been augmented here, as you can see, with the Gucci adornment, and so doing riding caps and a lot of fun stuff. And so they're working towards developing this mech suit, and so that's probably the one thing I can't show you, because that is still sort of a bit of a secret just for holders. That and I will say the mech suit previs is kind of amazing in 3D. It was quite astonishing. Whether that relates into, is that what it's going to look like in Sandbox? No, because Sandbox is voxelized. But it is a standard of rendering that is very high, and I was very impressed by the presentation. So, roadmap. I'm choking on the awesomeness. So, comic book, which has been in process, and I think that's what's been sort of missing. This has been like 9 months, 7 months. So it's just like they landed with such heat, with such a push towards being this leading edge thing, and being a clothing company, and being all these things. That every project is guilty of this, saying that they were going to do everything and doing everything at once, but not delivering. And when you're not delivering and you're not communicating, you get a lot of FUD. This goes for every project I'm a part of, or involved with, or sit on the Discords with. If you're not communicating, if you're not showing and growing and showing, you get a lot of suspicious looks at what you are probably doing, or what you might be doing, or what you're not doing. And it's frustrating to holders to not hear about things. I think it's such a fast-paced space, and it's unforgiving. It's very, very challenging psychologically for creators. We've seen it here on the show. We've covered projects that have completely tanked. I call them slow rugs, because they'll want to be in there and they'll want to do it, but then they get in there and the pressure is really high, and sometimes they're only 19 and they haven't the slightest idea of how to make a business plan, or how to follow up on creation of business or product development, or all these sort of things are that everyone's like, oh yeah, you're going to do that, right? Well, you're going to do clothing. Oh yeah, I'm going to go to merch, and they're going to a website and trying to sort stuff out, because there's a lot of smart people in this space, and that's sort of the thing about smart people, right? Is we think we can do a lot, but then it sort of all piles on, and in the modern day NFT, you need a team, and I'm liking what I'm seeing with this team, because they're sharing this sort of stuff, and so being very clear on where they're at with things. And so it's looking like there's now going to be delivery of the comic book that was started a long time ago. There's been delivery of some merch, and there's going to be some new merch. Token, I was actually surprised by. I was like, are we ready for a token, guys? I trust their leadership. But what I like here is you have a lot of artist programs, and that was something that really sort of turned the tide for me, and why I went in and purchased an Oni, because that for me is what I love about the space, and the curation, the discovery of new artists and new voices. When I'm in writers groups, on certain projects, and leading those discussions and finding that voice, you're just like, wow, I've never heard anybody express what it's like to be X in this situation, or somebody who's just dealing with something that, or has dealt with something it's very, very challenging, and finding a way to overcome it. It's really inspiring to me, and that's why I continue to develop in the space, with the focus on storytelling, and leading this sort of group writing and this group story and group lore development. And so this is something that is on the primary focus of Oni as well, and so you can see it kind of. And I like too that there's also a sort of a mindset that's just it's not going to be Netflix show tomorrow. It's just as we know, if you're a fan of the show, subscribe to the bell notification, because I'm going to give it to you for real, and I do this live so that you get sort of an accurate understanding of this stuff as it happens. But it takes about 7 years to make any sort of piece of media, whether it's a television show or a film, and I never believed that. And the head of Fox told it to me, and I laughed. I was just like, you don't know what you're talking about, sir. I'm going to do 3 movies in that time. And, I didn't. Well, I kind of, but they were small movies. But, the thing is you can, but when you want to do them at scale, it takes a group, and it takes a lot of people to do this, and a lot of craftsmen who, by the way, should be honored at the Oscars. Side note, I know it makes for not an exciting show, but sometimes when they show the people behind it, it gives a bit more of an egalitarian win, I think, for the people that work on those shows and movies, because they feel that they have contributed, because they have in a huge way, and it needs to be recognized, even though you might fast forward. That's what TiVo's for, guys. Show it. If you're not interested, you get to fast forward through it. But those of us who appreciate the crafts and department heads, which I do, thank you guys. And then working into the metaverse. So the focus this year is on the metaverse and incorporation, I think, of a lot of strengths that this project already has inherent. Again, a more seasoned project is able to look at what they have. They have the relationship with Steve Aoki, with a certain music. I think it was what's his name from Good Charlotte, Michael B. Jordan. So they're celebrity holders, and they're just starting to think like, okay, how can we leverage that? And so if you have great music connections, fantastic, you can leverage that and develop from there. And so the PDF is part of the town hall that was presented, and I show this. There's a stack load of alpha, and I invite you to join the Discord. Maybe even look at becoming a member at this time, because let's go to this pricing point here. No financial advice ever here on the show, but it's at a point where it's not at 7-8 ETH as a floor anymore. So it seems a bit more accessible. It's still a fair amount, mind you, but in terms of its accessibility, it's greatly improved, and that's bringing in a whole different breed of collector, because what I'm seeing in the Discord is creator collectors. It's at that price point where a lot of creator, sort of old school degens who weren't able to get in on the 7-8 ETH floor, didn't like sort of what was going on with the project, and could tell sort of like it wasn't really super focused yet, are now finding the price point and that focus as a good time of entry. And so the new crop of people that are in there are very excited to be there. They want to create, and they're bringing very specific talents, whether that's marketing, whether that's business, whether that's writing, these sort of things, and they want to bring it to the table. And what I love is they want it. They're like, especially the people who are the mods are like, yeah, this is great. Like this is kind of what we're going for now. And the How We Rise R1 S3 and the Oniverse. So bringing back sort of those ideas of being the leading NFT media company at the intersection of manga, anime, music, and VR and gaming, and a lot of other things. Going to make the Oniforce the most popular anime-themed NFT project to be birthed from Web3. I love this statement. It's a very strong statement, and it does say, we're coming for you, Azuki. Launch of, was in the past, and, looking to bring in new people. And I think that's the interesting part here. And then looking at what you have, and what you have is, this great birthing in the anime manga style, and looking to leverage that into other mediums, leveraging young artists, and that's what's going to make this space. And what makes Web3 exciting is, not only did we discover, I'm sorry, I can't even it's like the name of the artist is always such a, it's like an X and a 1 and a 3, and I'm sure there's a cool way of saying it, but I never have figured out how to say it. Like Artifact is like, that took me a while. Like this is even tougher. But so they made the comic book and made a partnership with Devil's Due, and again, yeah. So here it's just like over the time period of 5 to 10 years, creating a catalog of comics. The long-term vision here is as important as sort of the next steps, in a sense, especially when you're looking at this And after the hype is gone, and what I'm sort of bringing to the table when I'm talking about these projects that are a bit more seasoned and why they might be worth a revisit, is they're finding their vision. And here they're laying out their vision, they're communicating their vision, something that again, for me, it was hard to sort of jump back in because I couldn't quite see it before, but now they're just like being very clear. They're doing this show as you grow, which sounds inappropriate sometimes, but when it comes to development in this space, I think it's just so important, especially when you want to onboard creatives, because creatives want to get involved and they want to understand, and they want to say, oh, you're doing that, well, fantastic. Well, I'm a dev. I do this every day and I'm bored and I hate my job and I want to quit it. And can I come do this for, 1 ETH a week or so? It's just like finding the opportunities don't happen unless for collabs, unless it's being shared. And so, and I think that's where the magic is, again, in Web3, and projects that allow that and elicit that. Because when they're showing, you have that opportunity. Again, I won't even get into some of the ones that are too damn quiet about what they're doing and expecting, them to, oh, we're working on something. You just wait. We're working on something. This is just the tip. This is the tip of the iceberg. The iceberg below is so big. There's a lot of ETH has been spent on a lot of icebergs, crashed and run as strewn all over the ocean of open sea. That was a very bad pun, and I apologize. These just come at me. Like, subscribe, hit the bell notification if you love puns. Why comics come first? This is great. Again, they're just like, hey, this is why we're going to focus on this, doing the comics. This is what I preach to every project. You got to set your IP, whether that's a book, whether it's a novel, whether it's a comic book. Might as well be a comic book because you're in a graphic medium. And I love comic books. So, you set the IP with that. You can start to establish the lore. Once you establish the lore, there's a lot of other great things that you can do. Hit me on Minty Fresh Vibe at Twitter, and I'll tell you how. And so, just kind of showing the transition, like, hey guys, this is the first step. You do this. We can maybe get to sort of movie lands and TV show lands by going this way, possibly. So manga, and again, this is the thing, is just like, from the Hollywood side of things, we're dying to, like, people outside this window, like, I kid you not, like, I could throw a stone into their office, are dying to get these properties, to get properties that could be turned into something, because this is what we all know about the space. We're high on looks and gloss. We're very low on storytelling at the moment. We're very low on storytelling that is quality because they haven't connected the resources needed yet. Please like, subscribe, hit the bell notification, and hit me at Twitter, Minty Fresh Vibe, to make those connections, because that's what's missing, and this is what we do here. And so, when you're bringing this great, like Deadpool, come on, I can do a whole episode just on like how we get to, modern day Deadpool is amazing, but that takes fantastic storytelling, and it takes balls, and it takes, talent. It takes talent. Some people are just like, oh yeah, I'm going to write, this whole lore, and you're like, that's dope, dude. But like, where are you coming from with that? How do you know how to do that? You like, do you understand, like, how to write for comedy? Do you understand how to write dramatically? Do you understand what makes a good story? Maybe from an audience point of view, yes, but in the creation of it, there's a whole industry here at the Studio Lot of us doing it. And so what I also like here is, they're looking again at sort of what they have, and they're saying like, well, why aren't we doing manga? And some great success here. First, community-driven IP development, and that was something that I think a lot of projects are still kind of like, do we give full rights like Azuki? Do we, how do we approach it? I think a lot are more retained at the moment. But I will say, there isn't a project that I've come across that even though they're like lockjaw, like retained rights, aren't looking and willing to say, please, somebody like with a great idea, run with it. They understand the power of that. They're just a bit afraid still of like, what that could mean, or how those rights could be subversive to, the original IP rights. And so, they're just being careful with it, especially ones that have really built themselves up. But here, is an example of, community-driven IP development, based on one character, much like Bobu. And, here you'll have the first community-led comic book to premiere in thousands of stores because, again, they have a great deal with Devil's Due. And so once you start having these things, and this is the thing, you got to start looking forward. So as I'm looking forward, I'm seeing, a team that has, the wherewithal, but also the name recognition to do this, to do these sort of things, to ability right now, to like make your own sort of augmented, if we could show you that, I guess not. But as they're doing the layering, building the mech, they're doing a layering, so you have like this suit that goes on under, and so I was just kind of playing with mine. I was like, oh, I want, mine not to have ears, and I showed it, and they're like, yes, you submit that to our like our challenge, and it was just like, what? And there's a whole artist challenge where you can customize your mech suit, and and then there's some sort of reward involved in that, and so helping artists develop, and there's this promise that I heard during the AMA was, or the town hall, was just like, if there's an artist that wants to develop something and do a derivative project, they're like, please, yes, and we're gonna tweet you, like we're gonna RT, and we're gonna tweet you like from our official Discord and our official Twitter. And so here's the preferred partnership program. And so that's the thing, is like, you have this great name, and I think you have a team that's really starting to understand the power of what they can do with that name, and so they can have great distribution things. And I tell you, if they get that right, it's not going to be hard for anybody to walk across the street and here, or just down the hall. I have some great writers, directors here, and and say, hey, do you guys want to do Oniforce? That's not a hard sell. I can sell that in any studio room. It really isn't, because of the name recognition. Because I think it's just about like getting the storytelling right. I don't think that that's super hard. That's just about bringing the one or two talents. But I think what they're doing also is they're opening it up, and that's where I'm most excited, because this opening up and this expansion, you're able to include a lot of perspectives that even if I hired the best Hollywood writer, to make me an Azuki Bobu, origin story, that's going to be a thing. But of the 9,999 other PFPs in the project, again, that's the power, man. If you watch, please check out the Azuki video, because I break down like how you can make they showed you how to make $2.5 million with your one PFP. That is so powerful. As an artist, you can go fund whatever the heck you want, if you're in a great community. And if you're in a community that is supportive, like these appear to be, that can really give you the confidence and the backing of the name to go start your career as an artist, your career as a storyteller. And so I invite you to look at these projects that I'm going over. I know they're sort of ones you've already heard before. At the show, we don't talk about mooning anything. It's going to develop financially. The thing, there's never any advice here, but it's more about the value as a creator and as a collector, because this is long-term holding. This is long-term vital, because This is there's an understanding here 5-10 years out, and what that looks like. And you have to imagine, that's the thing. ApeCoin could have dropped a month after, 2 months after, during sort of that whole hype cycle of like, oh, we can combine DeFi with NFTs, back in NFT summer, where they were just like, what was last summer? Oh yeah, it was DeFi summer. Oh, let's just combine those summers. But they took 9 months, to sort of lay the groundwork. And what are they doing? They're hitting with a lot of cylinders, opening up right from the marketplace, metaverse, so you understand the value of that coin and how it all works in conjunction. And so, look to projects like those, right, who are understanding the long-term value in the space. The pump and dumps, man, I'm over them. I don't know if you are. Like, subscribe, with bell notification. Hit me in the comments if you're sick of the pump and dumps and you're looking for quality. You want stuff that's going to rock, and you're going to be proud to own and proud to maybe even develop in, because that's been the real, and I keep showing this, guys, the real moneymaker is in the creation. If you